Alright, so this is the Bohrocket launching mechanism that I've come up with. It's still a work in progress, and it is for a larger project, but it is really cool nonetheless, and I'm very happy with it. So this is actually solving a couple of problems that I ran into with a past iteration of this, which I'll explain in a minute. But let me go ahead and just kind of show you what it can do. So it can hold the Bohrocket in place. It'll actually lock it, and it's also easy to reload, which I'll show that off in a minute as well. But the idea is, right now, it's just connected to this lever sticking out of the front, and when you push that lever up, the Bohrocket will roll off of the front of it. In terms of reloading, you literally just set the Bohrocket back in place, and then it is ready to go again. So it's self-resetting. The mechanism here is a little bit complicated because there's a couple of different things moving, and the reason that it moves in this way, I mean, aside from having rubber bands on the back here, is because the idea is I wanted to make it easy to reload, but I also wanted to make it grip the Bohrocket really well, right? And so I didn't want the Bohrocket to be able to roll over the front of these lift arms here. And so the idea is that you can't actually pull down, you can't activate the function with weight. So if the Bohrocket is like hanging onto the front of it, it's not going to collapse it or anything like that. So it actually is a self-locking mechanism when something pushes forward on it. However, when something pushes down and back, if that makes sense, then it will disengage and allow you to actually use the function itself. So it's relatively simple. It just pulls this backward and out of the way a little bit because that's what actually grips the back of the Bohrocket, and then also it pushes up on the bottom of the Bohrocket as well, disengaging it, as you can see from this whole contraption here. And then it allows it to slide forward because it's, they got that tilt on it, right? So yeah, it's pretty interesting little function, and it works out really well. It's relatively compact. I am using Bohrocket bodies on here to kind of hold it together, but those aren't actually necessary. I could just do more lift arms and stuff here. I just want to make this, with Bohrocket pieces because, it's a Bohrocket design, and that's kind of a common theme that I'm trying to work on. So essentially, this is supposed to be for the Bohrocket spider prototype thing. I am going to definitely do my own take on it because obviously I've seen other people make their own as well, and I want this to be something that can be built in all six colors. But also, the first iteration I ever made of this was an actual catapult. It would launch the Bohrocket, but the problem was because the Bohrocket are a pretty sizable mass in terms of weight. Like there's a decent amount of plastic here. They weigh a lot, and so, or a lot relative to all the plastic that's moving them. So it's relatively difficult to create a small and compact design that you can hit with enough force to launch one Bohrocket, let alone launching 6 of them, right? And I wanted to tie these functions together if possible. So the idea is that I'm going to try and make a carrier that can carry at least 4 Bohrocket, hopefully. I will settle for 3 because 3 is half of 6, and I'll go all the way up to 6 if it's possible. But I would love to do 4 of them if I can. That way, just having 2 of these built can have you all 8 Bohrocket with 8 different Chrono if you want. And like I said, I want to make them in all 6 of the main colors, so I want to build them out of pieces that can be sourced in all of those colors as well. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it overall. Like I said, right now, size-wise, it's roughly the same size, a little bit taller than my Bohrocket Co. But like I said, this can be made a lot smaller just by moving around, exchanging lift arms, and changing out some connections and stuff like that if I really want to. I'd also really like to actually sink it down a little bit so the Bohrocket are kind of resting inside the body rather than on top of the body of the build that this eventually finds its way into. So anyway, that is my Bohrocket launching mechanism so far to date. Oh, and last thing, I forgot. Because of the size of it and the way everything is shaped, it should be relatively easy to make this modular as well, which is always a nice bonus. All I basically have to do is just swap out a couple pieces like some of these pins and rubber bands and stuff like that, and essentially slap 2 of these pieces together, because it's just a pivot point here and a pivot point here, essentially, and then the point at which they rotate. So that's essentially it. There's not much else to be seen here. So, yeah. Anyway, later.